The desert sun had barely risen when Officer Megan Daniels rolled out on patrol. The Arizona highway was always quiet this early, with nothing but tumbleweeds and dust devils to keep her company. She sipped her coffee, turned up the scanner, and drove along the edge of Route 93. Then she saw something that made her squint and hit the brake stat. It was low to the ground, moving slowly, dragging something behind it. Daniels thought it was a coyote at first, maybe hit by a car. But as her headlights cut through the morning haze, the shape became clearer. Her foot moved to the brake instinctively. What she saw brought her out of the cruiser. A German Shepherd, large, dusty, and bleeding, was crawling across the gravel shoulder. Its left leg was stiff, twisted oddly beneath it. Its breathing was ragged. A military-style vest hung loosely around its chest, soaked in dried blood. And strapped to its back with thick, weathered belts was a black tactical backpack. Daniels moved slowly, crouching down a few feet away. The dog looked up at her, eyes glassy but locked in. There was no panic, no growl, only trust and pain. "Easy, buddy," she whispered. "I've got you." The closer she got, the more details she noticed. The vest had a name tag, K9 Rex, U.S. Military. The backpack was secured like it had been done by a human, tight and methodical. There were bullet grazes on the dog's side, and one fresh wound near the shoulder that still oozed blood. Radioed it in. "Dispatch, I've got a wounded K9, military markings. Looks like he's traveled some distance. Need a vet, stat." She lifted him carefully, feeling the weight of the bag and the warmth of his body. He didn't resist. As she placed him gently in the back seat of the cruiser, she noticed something else. Duct tape sealing the zippers of the backpack, as if someone wanted to make sure it wouldn't open accidentally. At the animal clinic in town, Rex was rushed to the back. Daniels waited in the hallway, unable to shake the feeling in her gut. Something about that dog. It wasn't just a stray or lost military animal. He was on a mission. After a few minutes, the vet stepped out. Gunshot wound to the front leg, multiple lacerations. "But he's stable for now. He's tough," Daniels nodded. "I need the backpack." Back at her cruiser, she grabbed it carefully and brought it into a small private room at the clinic. Using a pocket knife, she cut the duct tape and unzipped the top pouch. Her heart dropped. Inside was a sealed tin canister, scuffed and marked with military numbering. Next to it, wrapped in a piece of cloth, was a photograph, a woman holding a baby in her arms. She looked exhausted but happy. The photo was stained with dried blood. Daniels flipped it over. "She lives. Protect her, please." There was also a phone. Burned on one side, screen shattered. But its battery pack was intact. Daniels felt a chill crawl down her spine. This wasn't just an injured K9. This dog was sent here deliberately. Someone had trusted him to get across miles of wilderness, bleeding and alone, to deliver that backpack. And now that it had reached her, Daniels wasn't sure if she'd just become a rescuer or a target. She looked through the glass at Rex, hooked up to IVs, his chest slowly rising and falling. Despite everything, he had made it. Whatever was in that backpack was worth dying for, and someone would be coming for it. Officer Daniels didn't sleep that night. The image of the battered German Shepherd, lying unconscious behind glass, stayed with her long after she left the clinic. She sat in her small apartment with the photo in her hand, flipping it over again and again. She didn't recognize the woman in the picture, but the pain in her eyes felt familiar. The kind that comes from losing everything, but refusing to give. The phone from the backpack had been scorched on one side, but its SIM card was intact. Daniels had it plugged into an old reader, hoping it would give her something. A location, a name, anything. Instead, it gave her 5 missed calls from blocked numbers, and one outgoing call made just over a week ago from somewhere near the Mexico border. the sealed canister, however, had been more revealing. It had taken some work to pry it open without damaging the contents. Inside were 3 military-grade USB drives, each labeled with a short series of letters and numbers. She'd only looked into one, and even that had been enough to leave her breathless. The folder it contained was named Trident Rourke. It was filled with encrypted documents, tactical maps, and surveillance video. The footage was grainy but clear. Armed men moving through a civilian compound. The sound of gunfire, screams, and then silence. She paused on one frame, consumed. A woman, the same woman from the photograph, was crouched behind a vehicle, shielding a child with her body. Daniels leaned back in her chair. "She's not dead," she murmured. "She was never dead." The name clicked then. Dr. Lena Rourke. Daniels had heard of her during a short rotation at a federal task force 2 years ago. Rourke had been a civilian analyst for U.S. intelligence, known for exposing data leaks and black budget abuses. Then, just like that, she'd vanished. The report said she died in a drone strike overseas, killed with 3 others in a classified mission gone wrong. But the files told a different story. Daniels took a deep breath and copied the files to her own flash drive. It was risky, but someone had gone to great lengths to protect this evidence, and someone else would kill to bury it again. The next morning, she went back to the clinic. Rex was awake barely. His eyes followed her as she walked in, and his ears twitched at the sound of her voice. The vet said he'd lost a lot of blood, but his vitals were improving. "He's a fighter," the vet said, gently scratching behind Rex's ear. "Whatever he's been through, it didn't break him." Daniels knelt beside the dog and placed the photograph on the floor. "Do you know her?" she whispered. Rex gave a soft whine and reached a paw toward the photo. She didn't need more proof. That afternoon, Daniels called in sick and drove to a retired military contact she hadn't seen in years. Keenan Marsh, a former intelligence liaison turned whistleblower. If anyone could help her decode what she'd found, it was him. Keenan looked at the drives, then at the photo, and went pale. "Where did you get these?" he asked, voice low. Daniels didn't answer directly. "What's on them?" He didn't speak for a long time. Then he finally said, "Proof that a U.S.-sanctioned hit team was operating off books overseas. Rourke found out. She tried to expose it. They silenced her, or thought they did." He slid one of the drives across the table. "If you have this, and she's alive, they're already hunting again." Daniels looked out the window, heart pounding. She thought of the dog, wounded but unstoppable. She thought of the woman, running with a child. The truth was out there, but so were the people willing to kill for it. 3 days had passed since Rex collapsed at Officer Daniels' feet. While the dog slowly recovered at the clinic, Daniels and Keenan worked out of his quiet cabin near the outskirts of Flagstaff, combing through each file on the recovered drives. One file stood out from the rest: Operation Black Drift Logistics. Inside were fragments of travel routes, encrypted communication logs, and rough satellite overlays. Most of it was coded or redacted. But there, buried in the metadata of one file, was a GPS trail long, winding, and spanning from a point just outside the U.S.-Mexico border to the heart of Arizona. The most recent ping? Less than 5 miles from where Daniels first found Rex. "Wait a second," Daniels muttered. "You're telling me Rex made it all the way from Mexico alone?" Keenan nodded slowly. "That's not just coincidence. That's mission behavior. This dog didn't wander. He was trained." Daniels stared at the map. The terrain was brutal. Border fences, canyons, cactus fields, no food, no water. 100 ways to die in the heat. She looked at the distance traveled. Over 200 miles. On 3 legs. Bleeding. "He's not just trained," she said quietly. "He's loyal to someone, probably to Rourke." Keenan glanced at her, then pulled up a military profile on his laptop. Rex was assigned to a covert recon team under SOCOM oversight, stationed at a black site called Camp Saber. Records show he was listed as KIA 1 year ago during a mission in South America. But he clearly wasn't killed. No, he was extracted, likely by Rourke. The more they dug, the more questions piled up. Camp Saber's roster was wiped clean. The mission logs didn't exist. Every document pointed to a massive cover-up one. That involved illegal drone strikes, civilian deaths, and silencing witnesses. Rourke had known. She had the files. She ran Dot and Rex. He had been her backup plan. Daniels returned to the vet's clinic that evening, laptop in hand. Rex lay resting. But this time he lifted his head when he saw her. His bandaged leg trembled as he tried to rise. Daniels moved quickly and knelt beside him. "Don't get up," she whispered. "You did enough already." She pulled out the photograph again and showed it to him. His ears perked up at the sight. Daniels stared at him, unsure if it was crazy. To feel like the dog actually understood. But something in his eyes told her he did. He hadn't crawled to just anyone. He'd come to her for a reason. She left the clinic with one thought pounding in her head. Where was Lena Rourke now? Back at Keenan's place. They tried to triangulate possible routes Rex could have taken and cross-referenced them with the GPS data. It led them to a cluster of rural pings from 2 weeks ago in southern Colorado, near a mountain trail system used mostly by backcountry hikers and hunters. Daniels pointed at the screen. "If she was hiding, this is where I'd go." Keenan hesitated. "You realize what happens if we find her first, right? We'll be targets. Whoever buried this operation will come after both of us." Daniels didn't blink. "She's running with a child. She's alone. And Rex nearly died trying to bring this to someone. I owe him, and I owe her." She packed light a duffel bag, her badge, her sidearm, and a laptop with copies of the drives. Before leaving town, she stopped by the clinic one more time. The vet was hesitant. "He needs more recovery." Daniels knelt beside Rex's crate. "I know, but he needs to finish what he started." The vet looked between her and the dog. "He won't stop until he does." And just like that, Rex stood unsteady, but determined. His eyes didn't leave hers. Daniels opened the door, and the dog stepped out. They were going to Colorado *. The Colorado mountains rose like jagged teeth against the sky, their peaks still dusted with late spring snow. Daniels drove her Jeep through winding forest roads, following the last GPS signal Rex's tracker had registered weeks ago. Beside her, the canine lay stretched on a blanket in the back, his breathing slow but eyes alert. Every so often, his ears twitched like he was listening for something only he could hear. Daniels had no backup, no warrant, no official case. Just a hunch, a dog, and a photo of a woman who wasn't supposed to be alive. As she pulled off a remote trailhead marked only by a crooked wooden post, her phone buzzed. "Keenan, still picking up heat on that encrypted cloud drive," he said. "Somebody just tried to access the Trident file again. And not from our network. Government, could be, or private contractors. Doesn't matter. They're tracing breadcrumbs now. And you're holding the whole loaf." Daniels glanced at the back seat. "We're close." She left the Jeep and began hiking uphill. The forest was quiet, the trail thin and overgrown. After nearly an hour of climbing, she saw the first clue, a blue ribbon tied to a branch, fluttering softly in the breeze. Then another, this one frayed. Daniels crouched near a rock and found footprints, small ones. A child's. Rex, though, limping, began to move ahead on his own, his nose low, his tail stiff, every sense tuned to something Daniels couldn't feel. She followed. After another 20 minutes, she saw it. A hidden cabin tucked into the curve of the ridge, camouflaged by trees and brush. Smoke trickled faintly from a small metal chimney. There were no vehicles, no fences. It looked abandoned until a soft creak echoed from the back. Daniels didn't call out. She didn't want to spook whoever was inside. She approached slowly, hand near her holster dot. Then Rex barked just once, sharp and clear. The door opened. A woman stepped out. Dirty clothes, hair tied back, thin, pale, but unmistakably the same person from the photo. She froze when she saw Daniels, her eyes flicking to the badge clipped to her belt. Then she saw Rex and her face cracked. "Rex?" Her voice broke. "You made it?" The dog limped forward, tail wagging weakly. The woman dropped to her knees, wrapping her arms around his neck, sobbing into his fur. Daniels didn't speak. She just watched. It was the first time she was sure, absolutely sure, that the story she'd been uncovering was real. The woman finally looked up. "Are you here to take me in?" "No," Daniels said quietly. "I came because of what you risked to get that dog to me. And because of what's in that backpack." Lena stood slowly, wiping her face. "I didn't know if he'd make it. I didn't know if anyone would believe what we found." Daniels nodded. "I saw the footage, the files. That drone strike you were blamed for. You weren't even near. But you knew who was." Lena hesitated and waved Daniels inside. The cabin was small but organized. A wood stove, a worn sofa, a few maps spread across the table. In the corner, a little girl maybe 4 years old peeked out from behind. "A curtain. My daughter," Lena said. "They killed her father. They tried to kill me. She's the only reason I'm still running." Daniels felt her throat tighten. "You don't have to run anymore, but we need to get you out of here. Now," Lena frowned. "They're coming, aren't they?" Daniels nodded. "They tracked the files. It's only a matter of time." Outside, Rex gave a low growl, head turning toward the trees. Something or someone was moving through the forest. Daniels reached for her sidearm. Too late. Daniels stepped in front of Lena and her daughter, shielding them as Rex let out a deeper growl. The dog's eyes locked onto the tree line, his body rigid despite the injury. Daniels drew her sidearm and moved toward the window, scanning the shadows. The forest had gone too quiet. "Lena, get your daughter into the crawl space." "Now," Daniels whispered. "There's a trapdoor in the back pantry." Lena replied, scooping up the little girl who clung tightly to her. Daniels nodded. "Go. Don't come out until I call for you." As Lena disappeared into the rear of the cabin, Daniels moved to the front door. The trees swayed gently, but something felt off too deliberate, too calm. Her instincts screamed that whoever was out there had military training. Suddenly, a sharp crack echoed across the ridge. The window beside her shattered. Daniels dropped to the floor, glass spraying across her shoulder. Rex barked furiously and lunged toward the noise, growling from deep in his chest. Daniels rolled to the side and peeked out. 2 men, tactical gear. One posted behind a tree with a scoped rifle, the other moving in a wide arc toward the cabin side. Neither bore insignias, no names. Just black dot contractors dot. She grabbed her radio and called Keenan. "They found us. At least 2 men, likely more. Cabins under fire. Send coordinates and get help fast." "I'm on it," Keenan's voice crackled. "Sending a burner drone now for thermal recon." "Hold tight." Another shot rang out, hitting the front porch post. Daniels returned fire, forcing the rifleman to duck. She moved quickly, flipping the table for cover. Rex stayed close, eyes fixed on the side wall where footsteps crunched closer. That's when the second man kicked in the side door. Daniels fired once, striking his vest. He stumbled, but didn't go down. He raised his weapon. Then Rex launched. Injured K9 crashed into the man with raw force, teeth clamping onto his forearm. The attacker screamed and fell back, trying to shake the dog off, but Rex held on. Daniels fired again, this time into the man's leg. He dropped, writhing in pain, and Rex let go, just as Daniels pulled him back by the vest. She dragged the wounded dog behind the couch and reloaded. Her mind raced. This wasn't a scare tactic. These men were here to clean up quietly. No survivors. A voice called from outside. "Officer Daniels. Step out and we'll make it quick. Keep hiding and you all die." Daniels didn't answer. Instead, she moved to the hallway and opened the crawl space trapdoor. Lena and her daughter stared up, eyes wide. "We've got maybe 3 minutes," Daniels said. "I need you to take the back hatch in the woods. It exits under the ridge. Go west. Follow the stream until you hit the road. Keenan's got someone." "Coming." Lena hesitated. "You're not coming?" "I will, after I give them a reason to chase me instead." Lena nodded slowly, holding her daughter tight. "Thank you for believing me." Daniels shut the door behind them, then grabbed the remaining files and the drive with the Trident documents. She stuffed them into Rex's backpack and zipped it shut. The front of the cabin exploded as a flashbang rolled through. Smoke filled the room, and 2 more men stormed in through the broken front door. Daniels didn't wait. She ran straight through the kitchen, Rex limping beside her, and dove out the back window into the brush below. Bullets followed, but she didn't look back. She had one job now: stay alive long enough to get the truth out. And Rex, bloodied and fierce, wasn't letting her do it alone. Daniels hit the forest floor hard. Shoulder first, the wind knocked clean out of her. But there was no time to catch her breath. Behind her, the cabin glowed red flames licking up from the back wall, where another flashbang must have ignited something inside. Smoke billowed into the trees. Rex landed just beside her with a grunt, yelping as he tumbled through the brush. She scrambled over to him, checked his side. No fresh blood, just reopened stitches and a badly bruised leg. "You're still with me," she whispered, gripping his harness. From the trees above, voices shouted in clipped, urgent tones. Boots pounded against the wooden steps. At least 2 men had survived the breach and were now fanning out into the woods. Daniels hauled Rex to his feet, slung the backpack tighter over her shoulder, and ran. The path was steep, winding downhill into a ravine choked with fog from the early morning rain. Every breath burned in her lungs. Twigs snapped behind her, but she didn't look back. Rex limped but refused to slow. They followed the path Lena had described along the creek bed that curved through the forest floor like a hidden artery. As they moved deeper, the shouts faded behind them, replaced by the hush of moving water and wind cutting through the branches. After nearly a mile, Daniels ducked under a fallen log and stopped to catch her breath. She knelt beside Rex, brushing leaves from his fur. His breathing was ragged, but his eyes never left hers. "You're still protecting her," she whispered. "Still doing your job." She pulled out her phone and checked for a signal. Nothing. Then she took out the satellite GPS unit Keenan had packed and keyed in their location. Ping. A flicker of movement on the digital map. A blue dot approached from the south. Keenan's contact. He was close. Daniels tapped the screen to send a distress beacon. Suddenly, a branch cracked behind them. She spun, gun raised. A man stepped from the trees, face smeared with ash. Rifle steady, dark clothing soaked from the chase. He saw her. Didn't speak, just lifted the barrel. Daniels fired first. The bullet struck center mass. The man collapsed without a sound. She stood frozen, heart hammering. That was 3. How many were left? A second figure burst from the trees to her left. This one was faster, already firing. Bullets whipped past her head. Rex lunged forward with a growl, forcing the man to swerve. Daniels fired again. 2 quick shots, one to the shoulder, one to the leg. He crumpled. Daniels ran to Rex and pulled him behind a boulder. She checked his vest torn, but intact. A distant rumble echoed overhead. She looked up to see a small surveillance drone sweeping over the treetops. Keenan's backup. The drone blinked red 3 times. A signal. She pressed her finger to the earpiece Keenan had given her. His voice came through, clear and calm. Got eyes on you. Extraction vehicles 2 clicks west. You've got 10 minutes. Can you make it? Daniels exhaled. We'll make it. She stood, gripped Rex's harness, and kept moving west. As the drone circled above, she could see the forest thinning ahead. Just beyond the final ridge was a dirt access road barely visible between the trees. A black SUV was parked at the end, engine running. A man with a trimmed beard and tactical vest stepped out, waving them forward. Daniels didn't stop. She ran with everything she had left, Rex beside her, refusing to fall behind Dot as they crossed the road and reached the SUV. The man threw open the door. Get in. They're right behind you. She shoved Rex inside first, climbed in after, and slammed the door. The driver hit the gas, wheels tearing into gravel. Behind them, through the trees, more figures emerged, too late. Daniels looked back one last time. Smoke still curled over the ridge, but Rex had delivered the truth. Now they just had to survive long enough to tell it. The SUV tore through the mountain road, its tires kicking up dust and loose stones. Daniels gripped the edge of the seat, her eyes darting between Rex in the back and the darkening horizon ahead. The little girl slept curled against Lena, both finally safe for the moment. The driver, a man named Harris, kept glancing nervously in the rearview mirror. We don't have much time, he muttered. The contractor teams are mobilizing faster than expected. This isn't just a cleanup anymore. It's a full extraction. Daniels nodded, biting back exhaustion. We have the files. We have proof, but nobody knows what's in them yet. That's about to change, Harris said. My contact inside the agency says there's a whistleblower who's been tracking this for months. They want to meet as soon as you're ready. Keenan's voice crackled in Daniel's ear. I'm clearing a safe house in town. It's secure, off the grid. You'll have time to sift through the files, plan your next move. Daniels exhaled. Slowly. Good, because the moment we upload these files, we become targets. Lena stirred beside her. I never wanted this life. I just wanted my family to be safe. You did the right thing, Daniels said softly. But the truth you're carrying could shake the entire system. For hours, the SUV raced toward the city. Daniels reviewed the files on her laptop, footage of illegal drone strikes, evidence of falsified reports, and detailed logs implicating high-ranking officials. Each document painted a grim picture of power abused and lives destroyed in the shadows. Rex lay quietly on the floor, his breathing steady but shallow. Daniels reached down, gently stroking his fur. You're a hero, buddy. You brought us this far. When they finally reached the safe house, a nondescript warehouse on the outskirts, Keenan was waiting. He greeted them with a tense smile and ushered everyone inside. Time to make sense of this mess, he said, pulling up a secure server. As the files began to upload, Lena finally spoke. There's one file I never showed you. Something they wanted buried. Daniels looked up. What is it? Lena hesitated, then pulled out a small flash drive from her jacket. This is what really matters. Names, dates, everything. The people behind the cover-up. Keenan plugged it in. the screen filled with documents, photos, and encrypted communications. Daniels' heart pounded. This was the smoking gun. But just as they started reviewing, the safe house's alarms blared sharp and urgent. "They found us," Harris said, rushing to the windows. Outside, headlights cut through the darkness. Daniels grabbed her weapon. "We have to move, now." Keenan was already copying files to a portable drive. "Got it. Let's go." They hurried outside, but the air was thick with tension. The contractors were closing in fast, armed and merciless in the chaos. Rex pushed himself up, growling fiercely despite his injury. Daniels locked eyes with him. "Stay close, boy. We're not done yet." As they fled into the night, Daniels knew the fight was just beginning. But with Rex, Lena, and Keenan by her side, she was ready to expose the truth, no matter the cost. The night was thick with tension as Daniels, Lena, Keenan, and Rex sprinted through the maze of back alleys and side streets. The contractors were relentless, their black SUVs and motorcycles tearing after them like shadows hungry for silence. But this time, Daniels wasn't running just to survive. She was running to expose. Keenan's portable drive held the final piece of the puzzle. With that evidence, they could bring down the network behind the illegal drone strikes, the falsified reports, and the cover-up that had kept Lena and her family in hiding for years. They reached a secure underground parking garage pre-arranged rendezvous point with the whistleblower Keenan had mentioned. A figure waited in the shadows, their face hidden beneath a hood, but the assurance in their voice was clear. "Ready to blow this wide open?" the whistleblower asked. Daniels nodded, lifting Rex's harness gently. The dog's eyes shone with fierce loyalty and pain, but he was still standing. "Let's get this done," Daniels said. Inside the safe house, they uploaded the files to an encrypted news outlet known for investigative journalism. The whistleblower coordinated a live broadcast, timed to go public within the hour. Then came the wait, a tension so thick it was almost unbearable. Outside, the contractors continued their hunt, but law enforcement was closing in too, alerted by Keenan's rapid notifications and encrypted calls. At last, the broadcast went live. Screens all over the country lit up with damning evidence: the drone strikes that killed innocent civilians, the falsified documents, and the high-ranking officials who ordered cover-ups to protect their interests. The files included the little girl's father's name, the man murdered to silence the truth. Public outrage exploded. Calls for justice flooded social media and news networks. The story went viral. The injured K9 with a backpack carrying evidence had ignited a firestorm of accountability. Daniels watched as agencies launched internal investigations. Lena's name was cleared, her courage recognized. The little girl, once hidden in fear, now had a future free of shadows. And Rex? He became a symbol of hope and resilience, a battered warrior who refused to give up. Days later, Daniels stood at a quiet memorial service honoring those lost to the drone strikes. She knelt by the wreath, placing a paw print painted on a canvas beside her. Rex rested his head on her knee, eyes closed in peace. "We did it, boy," Daniels whispered. "Because you crawled to us, and we listened." As the sun broke over the horizon, she knew the fight wasn't over. But truth, once set free, had a way of changing everything.